Okay, we understand you have a testifier. Would you call your first testifier forward?
Oh, I'm sorry. She stepped out for a moment.
I'm doing so well. Okay, Pahoa, do you have a testifier?
Yes, good morning, Madam Chair. We have two testifiers here today.
All right, will you start with the first of your two testifiers, please?
Okay, first we have Mr. John Olson representing himself in support of Bill number 108.
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the committee. I'm here today to support Bill 108, and I want to thank Ms. Willie for introducing this and for moving it forward here. I do have one concern, and that concern is the costs to low-income students who want to participate in after-school programs, after-school educational opportunities, and we still have to work out a mechanism for getting them either lower costs or free use of the system. At the moment, I don't have any ready remedy for that, but I'm going to look into it further, and I hope my concern will not slow you moving this forward, because this needs to happen ASAP. Thank you.
Please bring your second testifier.
Second, we have Mr. Martin Mimak, who would like to make a comment in regard to Bill number 108.
Good morning, Madam Chair, Vice Chair Willie, members of the committee, and citizens of Hawaii County. My name is Martin Mimak. I'm here to voice my own opinions, although I am recently appointed or elected as the subcommittee chair for mass transit on the Puna Community Development Plan. And we've been looking at these issues fairly closely. I was recently just made aware of Bill 108, and I guess just personally, on a very basic emotional level, I am in favor of this. When it comes to more of my responsibilities to my committees and to the citizens, I think we need to kind of iron out a few more of the details here and try to see if, when it goes to council, we can clear up some of the issues. I'm a little bit concerned, for example, about the annual passes not running for 12 consecutive months. I understand about accounting costs, and I'd like you guys to take a look at that to see that if I buy my pass in March or July, that I get 12 months, and I'm not forced to come up with that $350 or $500 in January every year. So on a general note, thank you for tackling all of these issues. I think the improvements that Helion has made and you guys have made in recent years, I've been on the island 7 years, and I've seen dramatic improvements in routes, in bus stops, in scheduling. Everybody's doing a fantastic job, and as the subcommittee chair, I look forward to helping you guys do your work, and Helion and Tiffany Kai down at Helion to continue looking at these issues, because the discounts, $750 for 10 tickets for low income, that looks real good. So thank you very much, and look forward to talking to you soon.
Thank you, Sarah Hilo. Would you introduce your first testifier, please?
Madam Chair, our first testifier is Stephanie Bath, speaking on Bill 108.
Good morning, Madam Chair and committee. I want to thank you for this opportunity to testify. The mission statement of Mass Transit Agency is to improve the lifestyle of the residents of the County of Hawaii by increasing their mobility and providing accessible transportation alternatives to the private automobile. I've been serving with Marty on the Puna Community Development Plan Subcommittee for Mass Transit, and we are looking at a number of different issues now. There does seem to be some ironing out, and I would encourage this committee to give the Community Development Plan committees some time to network with Tiffany and our representatives in coming up with a plan that will be able to realize the mission statement of MTA and also the mission statements of the community development plans island-wide. This is an island-wide bus system, and so I think it's important that we come up with something that's fair to all. I've been a bus rider since 1982, and I want to echo Marty's comments on the improvement within the system. We have come a long way, and as we collaborate together, I think that we can identify and realize our goals. I do have some concern for low-income families. A family of 4 that lives out maybe 5 miles away from a bus stop has to drive to that bus stop and drop off passengers and then drive back and make the other round trip. So that would be a 20-mile round trip ride, and that's going to add to gas expenses for low-income families. We're not at a point now where we could start having feeder buses into subdivisions, but I do want you to consider the expense it's going to be for low-income families and also senior citizens and students. Thank you very much.
Our next
Hilo, do you have any other? Go ahead.
Yes, our next testifier is Mr. Tim Reese, speaking on Bill 108.
Hi, I would also like to support Bill 108, but the only thing I want to say on this is I would have liked to seen the senior age drop to 55. That's all. Thanks.
Hilo, do you have any other testifiers?
No, Madam Chair, that was our last testifier.
Thank you. Waimea, do you have any testifiers? Okay, Ka'u, do you have any testifiers?
Thank you, Madam Chair. We have no testifiers down here in Ka'u.
Thank you. Are there testifiers in Kona? No. Waimea, do you have any testifiers? David, can you hear me?
I hear you now. We do not have any testifiers.
Thank you. Okay, we're concluded with the public statements. We're going into referrals. We have 2 nominees that I'd like to take first. Okay. First, Madam Chair, Communication 377.
Communication 377, nomination of Lena Alainos of Council District 6 to the Hawaii County Liquor Commission from Mayor William P. Kenoi, dated July 31, 2013, requesting the Council's review and confirmation.
Thank you. May I have an amendment? Oh my gosh. May I have? I don't even know what I'm doing.
Move to approve Communication 377 nomination. Alainos.
Thank you. Antibiotics and things, you know how that goes. All right. May I have you guys, Mr. Takase and your applicant, please come forward. Just so the audience, the viewing audience doesn't think that I've totally lost it, I am on some medication, so I'm a little slow today. Right.
Good morning, Madam Chairman. I'd like Gerald Takase, Director of Liquor Control. I'd like to introduce Ms. Lena Alainos, who is our nominee for the Liquor Commission.
Thank you. Would you like to go ahead and introduce? You've introduced her?
Yeah, I did.
Okay. Ma'am, would you like to say anything before we start the discussion?
Madam Chair, Char is in Hilo. She can do the introduction.
Okay. Char, go ahead.
Thank you. Good morning, Madam Chair and members of the committee. In Kona today with Director Takase, we do have Mayor Kenoi's nominee from Council District 6 to the Hawaii County Liquor Commission. She's Ms. Lena Alainos. She's a lifelong resident of Hawaii, presently employed by the Queen Liliuokalani Children's Center as a community building facilitator 4. She recently served as a member of the Hawaii County Liquor Liquor Adjudication Board, and her term expired in December of 2012. She's presently the chair of both the Ka'u Community Development Plan, the Na'alehu Methodist Church Council. She's also a member of Hale Ona Ali'i and the Hawaiian Civic Club of Ka'u. Ms. Eno states that she's not affiliated with any political party, and if confirmed, she will serve a term to end on December 31st of 2017. She replaces Jean Carvalho, whose term expired in December of last year.
Thank you very much. Would you like to talk to the council before we have our discussion about why you would like to be on this commission?
Okay.
Thank you.
I'd like to serve on this commission primarily to represent my district. The background of my work helps me be concerned about our children and our families, and so I think this is a good venue for me to sit on and kind of be maka'ala, watchful in our community of Ka'u and, of course, Hawaii Island.
Thank you. We're very pleased that you were willing to serve on this. Council members who would like to comment first? Anybody? Everybody loves you. Okay. All those in favor of this approving this communication and putting Ms. Enos on the commission, please say aye. All opposed? Congratulations. If you'll stay in the audience a little while, we'll have you come to shake hands with the council members.
Madam Chair?
Yes, sir.
Sorry. For the record, could I just make a note that there's 8 ayes and 1 excused? Ms. Poindexter.
Thank you, Madam Clerk, for catching that. I did not see that Ms. Poindexter was not here. And, you know, I didn't introduce the council either on this committee, excuse me. We have Mr. Iligan at the extreme left, Mr. Kern, thank you for your rescue, Mr. Kanuha, Ms. Eoff, Mr. Yoshimoto, Mr. Onishi. Ms. Poindexter is excused at this point, and I do have a memo from her that she would need to be excused. Ms. Willie, and I'm the chair, Brenda Ford, doing an abysmal job this morning, but Margaret's got a bill and I got to take care of it. Thank
Madam
you.
Chair, can we let Ms. Enos know that she doesn't need to come back for
Thank
the
you.
council
Yeah,
meeting?
that is acceptable to the council members. Thank you, Ms. Enos. You will not need to come back to the council for your final confirmation. And thank you very much. Hang around. We're going to get back to you in a second. Madam Chair, Communication 378.
Madam Clerk. You're chair. I'm clerk. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm not doing well at all.
All right. Communication 378, nomination of Jeffrey T. Gray of Council District 4 to the County of Hawaii Police Commission from Mayor William P. Kenoi, dated July 31st, 2013, requesting the council's review and confirmation.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Okay. May I have a motion to approve the nomination of Jeffrey Gray to the Police Commission? Okay, that was a first by Mr. Kern, a second by Mr. Kanuha. And Mr. Gray, you're here. Please, sir, come up. Shar, would you like to go ahead with the introduction?
Okay. Mayor Kinoi's nominee from Council District 4 to the Hawaii County Police Commission is Mr. Jeffrey T. Gray. Mr. Gray is a 9-year resident of Hawaii. He's self-employed. He's the self-employed president of Netcom Enterprises. He is currently a board member of the Hawaii Island United Way. He's a past board member of the Hawaiian Paradise Park Homeowners Association. Mr. Gray states that he's not affiliated with any political party, and if confirmed, he will serve a term that ends on December 31st of 2014. He replaces Michelle Kuali, who had to resign.
Thank you. Mr. Gray, would you like to tell the council or this committee why you would like to serve on this commission?
Here we go, that's better. I've been a resident of the Puna District since I moved here in 2004, and I see the growing needs of everything in our community. In my upbringing, I grew up farming, learning right and wrong, and knowing that everybody's emotions get involved with things, and I think that I can bring some good atmosphere to the program and help our community. I'm a business owner in the county here as well, and with the military background and everything I have, I think it brings, good fortune to everything we have.
Thank you very much. Council members, Mr. Kern.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Mr. Gray, for being willing to serve on this commission. This is definitely a commission that, as all the commissions, is very important. This one's definitely very important. I've had the opportunity to know Jeff Gray and work with Jeff Gray over the years and just various things with his services from the computer side of things. He's always been on time. He's always had the highest level of integrity. Never had any problem. It's always solutions-based, showing up on time. Very active in the community. I see him all around, and he's got a tremendous amount of energy, and I think, again, that's something that we need for our commissions, people that are going to, show up, be there to serve, and have the energy to go through those meetings and to, like I say, show up. So I absolutely support Mr. Gray 100%. Could you, real quick, Mr. Gray, how many years did you serve in the military?
12 years. I was a drill sergeant and an M1A1 tank commander during both Gulf Wars.
Thank you. Great background. Great person, and again, I fully support this, and thank you for being willing to serve on our commission. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Mr. Ilagan?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Mr. Jeff Gray, I just wanted to say that I'm so glad that the mayor appointed you. You would be my #1 draft pick, and I just want to say you fall into the district that I represent, and I've been working closely with the police department, and I would like if I would highly encourage this body to confirm Mr. Gray, and when that confirmation does happen, I just want to say I want to keep in contact with you and discuss some of the situations that's going on in the district, in District 4, because right now I'm working on a couple of things that involves the police department, and hopefully I know we can work together, and you understand service before self with your military background. So I just want to say I fully support you, and I also urge my fellow council members to support Mr. Gray too. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Willie.
Yes, thank you for coming forward, and I support you, and I just encourage you to be aware that there is considerable distrust and lack of confidence of the public with this board, and perhaps there could be more outreach or sort of somehow communicating to the public generally, and I think that would be helpful, and I hope that all you and the others youth are independent-minded and do what is best in the long run for the well-being of our island. But I think I appreciate hearing from this council member Ilagan. He's working on some things, and I think, however, we can have more trust in our government, and that we are self-disciplined and self-disciplining, and not just behind the scenes rubber stamp. So I encourage ideas of connecting to the community at large and how you function and what you're doing. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Anyone else? And I'd like to say a couple of things. First of all, thank you for your military service. My husband's a vet. I won't go into all the history of my family, but the fact that you've served is, to me, a strong indicator of where your thought processes are, and I appreciate that. I was very impressed with your resume, so I want to commend you. And I would like to say that what Ms. Willie has just commented on is unfortunately true. There's just been a report that came out, the chief has it, the police chief. There was a survey, and I guess it wasn't, we haven't seen it yet, but I guess it wasn't as good as it could have been. So I would encourage the entire commission to take a look at that and work with the chief to see what we can do on those issues, because the police department, truly, they're heroes. Just like the fire department, they're first line between us and total anarchy. And we love those guys and gals, and they need all the help they can get. So I would encourage the commission to do that. That's my suggestion for you. Anything else anyone else wants to say? No. Okay, so we're going to take a vote. All those in favor to aye. Any opposed? We have one excused. That's Ms. Poindexter, who is excused. And so the council has no problem not having Mr. Gray come back. Mr. Gray, you won't need to come back to the next meeting for your final confirmation. But when this, we're going to go into recess here for a couple minutes, and Ms. Ian to go on. Madam Clerk, would you please read Bill 108?
Communication 376, Bill 108, amends Chapter 18, Article 4, Section 18-90 of the Hawaii County Code 1983, 2005 edition as amended, relating to public transit system island-wide fare structure from Council Member Margaret Woolley, dated July 31, 2013. The bill inserts language to provide for the purchase of annual bus passes.
Thank you. May I have a motion, Ms. Willie, to approve Bill 108?
So moved.
Thank you. The second is by Mr. Onishi. Ms. Willie, please go ahead.
First, I just want to quickly state, so the public hears what this does. This is to our bus fare bill, which we discussed a number of months ago, and at that time I brought up was proposing to do, in addition to a discounted monthly pass, to have a further discounted annual pass. And I was ready to jump on it, but my well-thinking compatriots here encouraged me, let's give it more thought and talk to the administration and work this through. And so I'm back here. And let me say, on the general pass, if you were to buy 12 monthly discounted passes, that would add up to $720. This annual pass that I'm proposing would be $500. In other words, $220 less a year of an already discounted rate. And then for the monthly discounted rate. And then for senior students and disabled persons, instead of being 12 months would be $540, this would be $350. I did this, I think that the mass transit is like one of our top priorities, and it is an area that I give a lot of credit to the administration, but it is also an area that I think is very important to the quality of life here, and that we can still do a lot more. I did vote in favor of raising the fares, and this is in part a balancing, because there are areas with no bus service or little to no bus service available. So that we also want to lower the fares as much as possible, but not where at the expense of some areas having no bus service to speak of. I also am trying to minimize bureaucratic paperwork for the persons that use this all the time, as well as for our administrative costs. And let me say, I did meet with Tiffany Kai. There were one change that I made based on her concerns was I wanted to further discount disabled even more than the seniors and students, and she encouraged me to keep that category together, which I did. And I also wanted it to start as quickly as possible, and the 12 months would run from whenever you get your ticket. And so we worked on what should be a time to sort of set this up, and anyway, we sort of went back and forth on that and came up with, you'll see this has a start date of November 1, so there is time to sort of get the program in up and going. One area that I did discuss is whether to do and this is how it's really processed, whether the pass were to be almost like 12 separate individual like a block, and she preferred to just have one single pass. I don't think that's a matter of what the bill says, but I was concerned somebody loses their ticket. That's it. But I really, in terms of the administration, how that, what the format is, I really leaving that up to our mass transit department. So again, I encourage this. All of this is balancing. This is far less than the cost that's involved. I did hear the person speaking, we have to look out for low-income families, and I think that this is all part of what we have been doing, and how do we maximize the bus service everywhere, and still taking into account that we really, if there's anything we can do, it's getting more buses and really making this a whole system that's even further upgraded from where we are. So I encourage you all to support this, and hopefully more of us will be able to really have where there's regular service available, and make it something that does improve life here. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Willie. Are there any comments, any discussion that we're going to have on this? Seeing none, Mr. Onishi?
Is Tiffany Kai in Hilo?
She's coming forward now.
Okay, thanks a lot.
Ms. Kai, please make sure the bar, that you press the bar on the bottom of the microphone and the red light comes on. Please introduce yourself and ask your deputy to introduce himself. Thank you.
Good morning, Tiffany Kai, Mass Transit Administrator.
Good morning, William Berhunti, Deputy Corporation Counsel.
Good morning, Tiffany. And Bill, I just wanted to, ask if you folks had any comments. I know Councilwoman Ms. Willie did talk to you folks, and I just wanted to see what were your comments.
The only concerns I have with the annual bus passes is that because it holds a cash value, it needs to be made clear that if the pass is either stolen, misplaced, or destroyed, it's not going to be replaced, and it's going to be non-refundable. And if circumstances may change for the user, let's say he or she decides that they're going to move, the passes are going to be non-transferable.
Yeah, and that makes sense to me. So was that worked out with Miss Willie?
I did mention my concerns to Miss Willie. In addition to that, my thoughts are that having the annual pass, I'm not sure if a lot of the bus riders will be able to come up with such a significant amount of money up front.
Okay, and so by having, like, say, non-transferable annual passes, or to, like, if you do lose it, you're not going to be, reimbursed and so forth, would that be in administrative rules, or should that be put in with this bill?
It could be an administrative rule.
Okay, so would you folks rather have that done first before we pass this, or can we do it at the same time?
Mr. Nishi, William Berhunti, may I chime in on this? This issue. I think it's always good to have the rules in place before, you start implementing a program. And, the old adage, the devil is in the details. That's of concern to us. And, as Ms. Kai, represented, is that there's going to be some inherent administrative concerns with implementation of the bus pass. She touched on the fact that, it's non-transferable. That's something that we have to make clear up front. Documentation will probably have to be placed on the bus pass, providing the purchaser with sufficient notice that that, you know, this is the requirement and this is the regulation as it relates to the bus pass. You know, some other areas that, you know, I just wanted to touch upon as well is that, you know, as we were researching this this proposed, you know, legislation, and we went and we looked at other jurisdiction, we came across an issue that's, you know, currently going on in Oahu, where, you know, there's this kind of secondary market coming up where fake bus passes are a real inherent problem right now in with Oahu Transit, and these are forged bus passes that relates to the $60 monthly bus pass. Apparently, there's an underground market where the forgers are coming in and they're making these fake bus passes and they're selling them for $25. So, you know, you have that issue with, okay, not only is the annual bus pass going to be non-refundable, but it's going to have to be non-transferable. And there's going to have to be a system in place, some type of mechanism in place where we can ensure that the purchaser of the bus pass is the actual person, customer, using the bus pass, and it's not one bus pass to, you know, to be traded off and allow 10, 15 different riders to use it on any given, you know, moment. So that's a second concern. But I think, you know, what I harken back to is, you know, we passed this council and this administration worked really hard and worked really diligently, and, you know, they came up with what was a fair and balanced budget, you know, for us moving forward, and the public is very happy with the budget. You know, we've heard nothing but positives as it relates to how much work the council did and how much work, you know, the mayor and his administration did in ensuring that we have a balanced budget. And the concern I have related to that with these bus passes is part of the mass transit annual budget projections were based on fares which were, you know, increased during the budget process, and we had regular fares. We had discounts for fares if you bought a monthly pass. We had discounts implemented for senior citizens, for students, and for people with disability. And then we also afforded them a discount on a monthly pass as well. And now we came up with some rough estimates with those numbers. And bus service through Islandwide Bus Service directly correlated with the type of funds that we were able to generate through the bus fares. And what we're seeing now is like what Ms. Willie correctly pointed out, is that, you know, we have, if you take a already discounted monthly fare and a customer was to buy 12 months of, you know, that discounted monthly fare, they would spend $720 for that already discounted fare over a year's period of time. Now we're taking that $720 and we're cutting it down additionally, a discount upon a discount, down to $500. And, you know, the same thing is going with the same thing is happening with the seniors, with the people with disability, and with students. You're taking regular fares. If they were to buy a single monthly pass over a 12-month period of time, that would come up to $540. But with the discount upon the discount, it takes it down to $350. So, you know, what I hear from the public testimony, what I hear from the council members is that, you know, if anything, we should be looking to increase bus service. And the concern I have, or expanding the service, the concern I have is if we apply a discount with the annual pass to an already discounted rate, there's going to be some consequence to that. And to me, I'm afraid what the consequence may be. Do we look at possibility of decreasing service? Do we look at the possibility of maybe we're not going to be able to get new buses? You know, those are concerns that, you know, I would have, and I'm not sure that is in fact the case, but those are just concerns I'd like to put out there for us to think about as this proposal comes forward.
Okay, so have you folks, I guess, crunched the numbers to see, or maybe this question is to Ms. Willie, you know, crunch the numbers to see what would be the loss, I guess, revenue by going by the yearly pass? Did anyone do that? Ms. Willie?
I looked at some other locations just sort of to get an idea of sort of what the differences in past amounts were. I'm not sure there even will be a loss, but I do want to just say a couple things to what they said.
Wait, Mr. Onishi has the floor.
Okay.
But I just want, so you really didn't crunch any numbers.
Right, I just looked at balancing out what would be annual and what would be monthly.
I can understand what you're saying, Mr. Berhanti, is that yes, what we budgeted or what Mass Transit's budget was based on what the discounts we have was proposed to us, and now with this addition, you guys are going to get, if they go the yearly pass, you folks are going to get less money coming into the department. So I can understand that. Then you folks going to have that shortfall. But did you folks also try crunch numbers to see how this would work, or like what would be, I guess, your lost revenue?
Unfortunately, no, I haven't gone that far yet. But, I kind of looked at the annual pass and then sort of went by month and then down towards as low as how much it would cost per ride. It comes out for the general, they'll be paying just about $1 per ride. And for the seniors, students, and disabled, it comes out to about 73 cents per ride.
Okay. I do really want to support this yearly bus pass because then to me it makes it more convenient for the rider, instead of going month to month. And like in Oahu they do have this, right? A yearly bus pass, correct?
That is correct.
Okay, yes. So to me, if like a city of Honolulu can do that, I think a city of Hilo or the Big Island can do that also. So, it's just that things just got to be worked out, I guess, more. And, like the rules got to be in place. And so, I really want to support this. But then if there's, like, I guess the mass transit is still not comfortable to what what is being proposed. So to me, I would recommend that, we got to postpone this again and continue doing a dialogue because to me, this I really I want this to have a yearly bus pass. But if they have like the administrative rules got to be changed because you cannot be non-transferable. So that needs to be spelled out. And so they're going to need time. So I'll thank you, and I'll yield at this time.
I'd like to answer you.
Mr. Yoshimoto, followed by Ms. Eoff.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Question for Ms. Kai. Have you had an opportunity to look at what Oahu does in terms of their annual pass, and whether they offer a similar discount, or is it just based on dividing up the monthly rates and making it payable yearly?
So for Oahu, the annual pass for adults is $660. Wow.
And I'm sorry, go ahead.
While for youth, it's $330 for the annual pass.
Okay, and their bus fares are $250 one way, right?
I believe so. Correct. It's $250 for the adults.
And for the adults?
Yes. And $1 for a person with disabilities, students, and seniors.
So this is just a question, but based on what I'm hearing then, would it be better or better planned out if this was something that was proposed when we're looking at the budget, so we were more comfortable in how the numbers play out? Or do you need additional time to analyze what impact, if any, this would have on your operating budget?
Yes, I would assume that we would need more time to look at the numbers and to see what impacts it will have.
Okay, thank you.
Karen, go ahead.
Yeah, I was thinking along those same lines, but there might be another way to solve that issue since it wasn't budgeted for in this fiscal year. But if it's the will of the council to adopt a yearly pass with a discount, then we could just make the effective date of the ordinance next fiscal year, rather than change the effective date of the ordinance to go into effect at the next fiscal year, rather than in the middle of this fiscal year. You have it, shall take effect on November 1st, 2013, which what they are saying may interfere with what they've planned for their budget for this fiscal year. This is a suggestion that we could change the date of the, when the ordinance would take effect. No, hang on. Mr. Iligan?
Thank you, Madam Chair. As I'm listening to everybody's this discussion, I have a couple suggestions. Now, when we look at analyzing the numbers, for one thing, we just raised the fare, so we don't really know the impact of it until it goes through a full cycle. So, and Madam Chair, is it okay if I ask Director Tiffany Kai a question?
Absolutely.
All right.
No question of that.
Director Kai, how much is supposed to be raised with a fare increase? Was it around 700,000?
Correct. That would be just for the total, for the fares, the fare increase.
Oh, yes. So if you look at the amount of people who would actually participate in this, I'm looking at the numbers. The annual pass is like $720 to front up initially. And then for the discounted, it's around $510. That's rather high just to front up if you are struggling paycheck to paycheck to paycheck. Now, so I was thinking how to make that lower. How about, let's not go to an annual pass, maybe like a 6-month pass, or maybe a quarterly pass, a 4-month pass, or a 3-month pass. So that's just a suggestion, because when I was looking at maybe like a quarterly pass, it goes down for the general public to $240, and you can lower that, and because it's a discount, it would be $200. Now, $200 is a little bit more accessible rather than $720. I went to paycheck before, and I didn't have just $720 to laying around for a whole transportation for a year. So they would have to either take a loan or something. I'm trying to figure out how to make it accessible for the rider. So my suggestion, Councilmember Willie, is that maybe look into a quarterly pass or a 6-month pass. And one last thing I do want to say is that the riders who would participate in this annual pass, I don't see it being a lot. So from my perspective, and I don't have facts to back this up, I'm just assuming, is that it's not going to be too much of a burden. I see this discount affecting like maybe 100,000, like in that sense. If 100,000 is a lot in our 6 or 7 million mass transit budget, then I believe then we shouldn't go to this route. But I see you giving this discount, it would give that much of an impact, around 100,000. But like I said, I don't have the facts, I'm just assuming. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Willie?
Okay. I mean, the annual pass is meant to be one more option. If someone has other ideas, I'd be happy to look at it. I feel the only way we're really going to know the impact is to do this and see how it happens to the next year. I sort of looking at the way other states and governments have done it, where they sort of come out somewhat equal. I mean, a year-round pass for students, you've got seniors and students, high rate of use. They're often not in school that whole term. We also will get the money up front. We cut our administrative costs. I feel that we ought to do it. A number of things that Tiffany brought up, she brought up to me in terms of administrative issues, and that's why I went with the November 1, whether it's to make it, and she was going to look into what they had to deal with in Honolulu, such as making it clear that it's non-transferable or how she formulates the ticket. I put November 1st. If somehow January 1 or December 31st is better. But, I really feel the administration should be supporting this. I don't see it as a big money loser. I see it that maybe people don't have the money. Well, each of these things, we're all dealing with that. It's just one way. Sometimes you can borrow it and be able to work it out. Sometimes you have it and are able to make it so you save that. It's one more option. When I supported the bill, I made it clear I'm doing this because I'm also working on this discount. So, I think that it's all a matter of balancing, and we're sort of taking one section out of this whole thing back to where we were supporting it. I think Tiffany said she wanted to look up and see if she could crunch the numbers. I really feel that this is proportionate to what other governments use, and I'm going to stay with this. I'm not going to I'd be happy to adjust it. It looks like it's a problem. We can come back and change and do it for at least we've got like a half a year we can work on and see how it goes. So if you all want to do it another way, the majority, that's that. I spent a lot of time on this. I'm going to hold to this. I feel there are administrative issues in how you do the ticket and all of that, and I'm happy. I think November 1st is sufficient time, but if I would put the date off a little bit longer, say to January 1, if that's somewhat more helpful. But I'm not willing to withdraw this and just that this isn't important to me. So.
Thank you, Ms. Willie. Mr. Yoshimoto?
Yeah, Madam Chair, I'm just trying to clarify something. Maybe, Madam Chair, I'll address it to you. Did we hear Ms. Kai say that the passes themselves, they have value? In other words, if you lose it, I mean, you're just out of it? I mean, you have to buy a new pass?
Yes.
So technically speaking, when you're riding the bus and someone sees you with a pass, if they decided to rob you or mug you or something, they're going to mug you for that $330 pass?
Yes. I mean, that would be my,
right, okay.
It's got a cash value, so
right.
it's,
okay, so
students could do that to
right,
each other.
Yeah, so I have a lot of concern about that. I mean, I think the monthly pass is, okay, so I'm done with my question. So getting back to my comment, it just seems more palatable to me to continue the monthly pass, and if we want to allow people to buy monthly passes in advance, if they don't want to go to the bus station, they can buy it every month ahead of time if they have the financial wherewithal. But I'm now just a little concerned in thinking about it conceptually. If I'm riding the bus and I have this pass and it's worth $330 or whatever it is, that's really valuable. And I don't know how you're going to track stolen bus passes. Whether the bus driver's not going to have the time, I don't think, to ID everybody for a particular number or whatever it is. So I'm just worried for the public safety. So anyway, that's a little different take on it, but that just popped into my head. Thank you.
Ms. Willie?
I did discuss that, and what I encouraged is that basically in buying the annual is that you'd have like a block of 12. So you're only carrying 1/12 of your annual pass whenever you went. Tiffany was concerned about that. I sort of left it up to her, but what I was saying, sharing that concern, but that your annual pass is basically 12 coupons. And therefore you don't have to carry them all at once or however. But I left that in an administrative way. I still think that is up to her and can be done so that you aren't carrying $500, $300 in one deal. And again, all of that I saw as how allow that department to configure them in terms of those administrative issues. But that's what I encourage, doing it as basically you're buying a block of 12 when you buy your annual pass. So I shared the concern. I don't think it's a problem in terms of doing it where you're basically giving a discounted price, you know, for what you get. So, you know, I'd like to move ahead with it again. You know, I'm just 1 out of 9 here, so.
Thank you. Mr. Onishi. Oh, I'm sorry. Mr. Yoshima, you do still have the floor.
We'll come back.
Okay, Mr. Onishi.
Okay, this question is for Tiffany. When someone right now rides the bus, do they have like a card that they purchase and they have to like swipe it as they walk in?
No, we offer discounted bus tickets or the monthly bus passes. So basically, when they come on with their monthly bus pass, they would show it to the driver, and the driver would then check the expiration date or the month that the pass was purchased for, and each month it's color-coded.
Okay, so like January could be blue, February is yellow, March is purple, and so forth.
Correct. That is correct.
Okay, and then Mr. Belhante mentioned about people are like doing duplicate cards, or they
in Oahu,
counterfeit cards.
I'm sorry. In Oahu, what's happening is what they do is they actually issued a hard pass, you know, like a laminated pass, and they place a sticker for the month on the pass. And what's happening is the forgery is related to the sticker. The sticker is being forged and for the next month and being sold, you know, that way as a forged sticker that gets placed on the card. I think, you know, and I just wanted to reflect back to what Councilwoman Willie said, was that there is a process now that she was suggesting where a patron can come in and they can buy 12 monthly passes, and that's the process. If you want to buy passes for the year, you can come in and you can purchase you know, a set of 12 monthly passes, or you can purchase a set of 6 monthly passes. And you know, we have the fare structure for that, which for the regular passengers it's $60 a month, and for, you know, seniors, disabled, and the students it's $45 a month, and they can purchase up to 3 months at a time, 4 months at a time, 6 months at a time. So there is a process in place to allow that prospect to happen. So I guess the only question comes back to me is then, is the real intent of this just to create an additional discount, you know, for the riders? And you know, if that's the case, then, you know, I just want to go back to the initial, you know, position I had, is that, you know, we went through the administration and the mayor went through a lot of concern when he proposed the current fare increase. You know, it wasn't something that was done haphazardly or just done on a whim. You know, there was a lot of dialogue back and forth. I know there was tremendous discussion between the mayor, between Ms. Kai and, you know, Ms. Crawford, and they sat down and they really looked at it, because it was a hard decision to come up with a fare increase for the public to ride the bus. And, you know, a lot went back and forth, and at the end, the way the numbers lined up, the way, and everybody was in favor administratively, where we derived at these figures. It wasn't just figures that we pulled out of nowhere. You know, it was figures that were derived at a regular fare increase from $1 to $2 were proposed, annual monthly passes of, you know, $60 and $45, as well as, you know, the availability of purchasing a book of 10. You know, those figures were all, you know, given a lot of consideration, a lot of discussion, and, you know, there was a lot of, you know, pencils that went dull as, you know, they're figuring things through, and those were the figures that were derived at. And, you know, I think, so what are we, I guess the bottom line is, as Tiffany, as Ms. Kai presented the numbers, if somebody were to buy an annual bus pass, basically they're paying $1 a ride, which was the exact fare that they would have been paying, you know, prior to the fare increase. And the students would be paying 75 cents a ride, which was very close to the fare that they would have been paying previously as well. So I think, bringing this around full circle is, what are we really talking about here? There is the opportunity to buy passes in blocks. We have that. They can come in, they can buy blocks of monthly passes. So, are we just talking about an implementing an additional discount? And if that's the case, then I think, it goes back to what we said, where consideration has to be given as to what is going to be the effects of that additional discount.
Okay, and I understand that. I understand what you're saying. But for, I guess, the council, what we got to look at is how we make it convenient for our bus riders, right? And so, I can see where someone might want to buy, or they could buy, like you're saying, 12 monthly bus passes at one time. But to me, if they do that, then they should be able to get like a slight discount, because they're committing to saying that, okay, I'm going to put up front, say like $500, and I'm committed to riding this bus, okay? And so to me, we should reward them by giving them a slight discount, because they are putting up the money up front. And for whatever reason, like it's non-transferable, they move away, we still have that profit. So we didn't lose anything, right? Because if they pay, like, say, like, and to me, I think like that maybe 500 is a little bit too low, because to me, I would be looking at maybe, because I was crunching some numbers, if you buy 12 months at $60 for normal, for ridership, it's like $720 that you folks would make, okay? But now if you knock off 25%, which is like $180, Mass Transit will be collecting $560 for that whole year, okay? Now, and that would come down to like $45 per month if you round it off, or if you kind of divide it among the 12 months on the $560. But now, if the person, say, buys it like in the fiscal year or whatever, how you folks going to do it, and they only stay for 6 months and now they move away, if you kind of divide that, Mass Transit going to be kind of making like $250. Because they rode for 6 months, but now they're not going to ride for the next 6 months. So, in a way, the county profits from that. But, but there needs to be something where, if it's possible, you folks can work it out, is to have these riders, if they want to purchase this 1 year pass, and they're willing to front this large sum of money, I think we should be able to let them do that. And so, to me, is that, where the Mass Transit needs to work on the administrative rules, but then also, Ms. Willie, I think you need to kind of refocus and find out the numbers of what losses, or what is the difference going to be if, say, 200 people buy this yearly pass, and see how much money the Mass Transit is going to lose out on revenue, because like they already are budgeted at 100%. Okay, so if you give them less revenue, which is based on their budget, now they're going to be under. So now, how they mentioned, how will they make that extra money that they had budgeted for the whole year? And one is, like I think Mr. Brahanti mentioned, they're going to have to cut services, maybe, right? And I don't think, like, with your budget right now, okay, and then say you folks lose, like, say, $500,000 because a lot of people buy this yearly pass. The $500,000 was basically for operating expenses, correct? Or was it like for buying a new bus?
That would have been for operating expenses.
Okay, thank you. See, so then, Ms. Willie, then you would have to find where you're going to get that other rest to help balance off that loss that they got. Okay, so that's why we're saying, you got to really work this out and think about it, because you don't want to hurt them. It's like I'm going to say Parks and Rec, you got to give free activities for these kids, which usually they charge for, like, paying for the officials. And I'm going to say, okay, no, you don't charge them at all. You got to give them free. Now they got to come up within their budget to pay for the officials. Like, and if I don't give them any money to do that, then they got to find places where they're going to have to cut to pay for that expense. Okay, so I just kind of think about it, and you know, like I'm saying, they got to do their part too, because they have to come up with the administrative rules, right? And then you got to kind of think of the financial part. But thank you, all you.
Thank you, Mr. Kern.
You share the same concerns. One, starting with what Mr. Yoshimoto was talking about, with having that actual one pass for the year, that could be an issue. If something like this does happen, it would make sense to have it broken down into 12 passes, and basically it would be a discount for buying 12 monthly passes. The challenge, though, is that the budget is so tight. Right now, it's about, correct me if I'm really off, but Ms. Kai, how much does it cost per rider, the county?
Currently, it's costing the county between $6.50 to $7 per rider.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. So approximately $6.50 to $7 per rider. We're charging around $2, and we're trying to increase services. Everybody's saying we need more routes, we need more frequency, and that impact of the discount on what that means monetarily to the department could have a really negative impact, and we do not want to be cutting services. So I think there should be a real calculation done and some type of metric to understand what that impact's going to be, so we can actually vote and say it's going to be 50,000, it's going to be 100,000. What's the impact of that going to be? Maybe you do it and you maybe for some reason it comes out to be a net zero with the people that don't actually use the pass. But I think that needs to be understood prior to voting on this. What is that impact going to be, and what's that going to do to our services? And once we understand that, I think we can make a sound decision. With that, I yield.
Thank you, Ms. Ehoff.
I have a question for Ms. Kai. At this point in time, do many people buy monthly passes in multiples? Like, do quite a few people purchase more than 1 month at a time?
No, they don't. They usually just come for a particular month. So they would, let's say right now we're in mid-August, so people are starting to come in to purchase their monthly bus pass for September. But we have never had a request for, they have that option, but no one has come in to buy more than a month's worth.
So if this were to go into effect, on doing the math, it would be a $220 savings if someone could come in and buy 12 monthly bus passes at $500. So that would be a $220 loss to the department's budget. So you have no idea how many people might be willing to do that or wanting to do that? Because if it was 200 people, the loss to the department would be $44,000. And I think it's been stated that a lot of people who ride the bus probably don't have that kind of money up front. So I don't know how we could ever figure out what this would exactly mean without trying it, but I'm just trying to get a feeling of how many people we could estimate would be able to purchase 12 monthly passes at a time to get this discount.
I'm not sure. I don't want to speculate on, how many people would be able to come in and would want to purchase 12 monthly bus passes in advance.
So I guess I go back to my original thought, is that if we did want to try something like this, that it might be better to wait till the next fiscal year to put it into effect, and that way you could maybe between then and now figure out what it would mean, and we could make sure your budget wouldn't come up short in this event, because I think it's a good idea to provide people a discount if they're willing to purchase 12 monthly passes up front. But yeah, I do want to support it. I'm not sure about the date it should go into effect. And if there's some way, if you think there's a way to calculate or estimate how many people this would affect, I don't know if that could be based on Oahu's numbers, percentages, something like that. Be willing to take a look at that? Like on Oahu, how many people purchase yearly passes as opposed to monthly passes?
Sure.
That might help us. Okay.
I could do that, and I could also
Thank you.
check with the other counties also.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Okay, thank you. I need to let the council know, or the committee know, that we are into the next committee, Public Works. Is it all right if we continue this discussion because we have a lunch break after that? Thank you, Mr. Onishi. Yes, sir.
Tiffany, one question. Is it possible to do like a pilot project and then say we limit, like say 10 or maybe like 50 yearly passes and see how that works? Because like you're saying right now is that no one really comes in to buy multiple monthly passes, right?
My only concern with that proposal would be, what if you're going to limit it to 50? What do you tell the 51st person, who comes in to buy the monthly pass? I think you have to provide equal service to everybody, and you can't treat anybody, unequally. So if that 51st person came in wanting to buy a pass, but I think what Councilwoman Eoff is proposing, to me that seems doable. That seems a very reasonable approach to addressing this situation, in that we do our homework. We afford the administration, the transit administration, sufficient time to do their homework, to touch base with Oahu, Kauai, and Maui. And, there's probably a real likelihood that projected numbers can be derived at, if we go down there and we actually, investigate and we do our research. And by tabling this or moving this back to the start of a new fiscal year, then those projections can be incorporated into the budget, like like Councilwoman Eoff has suggested. And I think that would be a real reasonable and practical approach to this. And then we can sit down and everybody can have the projections in front of them, and then we could actually make a well-informed decision as to whether or not this is something that we'd like to move forward with. And we are in the end of August, so we're looking at September. If somebody has like I said earlier, if somebody has a strong desire to buy passes in a block, they could do that. They're not going to get a realized discount, but if we're looking at just for convenience sake, that's afforded to them with the current system. So that would be my suggestion, to be along the lines of what Councilwoman Eoff has suggested.
Okay. Well, when we did postpone this, when we got Ms. Willie to postpone this, right? And this is like, what, over a month and a half, 2 months? Right? That's what I thought you folks was going to do, was to do some research and to find out what the other counties were doing, so that way we could compare. And that's what I thought. Yeah, but so, that's what I thought we were going to be getting back, was that, okay, this is what they're doing, okay, so this is what maybe we can do, and so forth. But, now I guess we got to leave it up to Ms. Willie to determine if she wants to, I guess, go back and work with you guys, because that's what I remember making that discussion with, that she will go back, work with you folks, and to come up with a good product. But it seems like you folks still are not on the same page. And so, to me, discussions are great, but I think we wasted a little bit too much time on this, because now we're going into one circle again. And so, I would, if she's willing to postpone this, but, you folks need to really work together, and, I guess you guys, the administration needs, or Mass Transit needs to get the numbers so that we can get something good written up, and then that we can offer the public, offer the riders an incentive to get on the bus. And I'll leave it up to Ms. Willie. Thank you.
Again.
Okay, hold on.
Councilmember Ford, I was trying to get the floor.
Mr. Iligan.
Thank you. I just want to say, mass transit, right now, they had to do the reform with the bus fare. So they're really tied up. They had to initiate that. They had to make sure the public was aware. It's not like they had this one task and this is all they had to do. So I just want to say they have been doing their homework. It's just that getting this information is not so easy. And you have to talk to a lot of people too. So I just want to say that it takes a while to get that information, and I really wanted to support this, but after hearing what Councilmember Yoshimoto mentioned about having that card, that $500 card, the annual pass that could actually put you in a risk. And also what Councilmember Ayoff mentioned was if we could maybe extend it and have factual data that could back up and support this, I think that's the way to go. Right now, I'm not going to support this bill.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Iligan. Is there anyone else besides Ms. Willie? Ms. Willie, go ahead and comment because I want to make my last comments and then...
Yeah, I just want to, in terms of the carrying the 500 pass, that's why I said administratively could do it as a block. I don't see, I share your concern. I do see that. I think I was wanting to move on this several months ago when I brought it up. I did go and consult with them. I had more of a sense of administrative concerns, and that's why I moved it to, that they had, and moved it to November 1st. So I'm going to go ahead with this. If it doesn't pass, then it can be looked at in the budget or whatever comes up. I've spent a lot of time on it and looking at sort of the proportion amount. I'm not sure we're going to lose any money, and we're going to get money up front, and it's just another option. And again, I'm really into encouraging this service. It's all a balancing, and I did work with them. I didn't know Mr. Brillante was weighing in on this at the time, and tried to work on the administrative issues. If it wasn't starting in November and they wanted a little more time there, I'd be willing to do that. But otherwise, I just find it, I do feel that there was time. I had time to go look and see sort of how different places weighed out annual versus monthly, and try to come up with something that looked like, really, I think we might do well, and just provide another option. I don't want to work on it anymore. I feel like I've done a lot, and if someone else wants to take this up, or you all don't want to pass it and do it one next year, that's the way it is. And, I just find, we got to be a little bold, and really the only way to figure it out is to do like a little pilot project, do it for a part of the year. If we started in January 1, we then doing it for half a year and see how it works. So I'd be willing to move it to start January 1 and not shorten the time period, but I don't want to, I'm not going to stretch this out further otherwise.
Excuse me. I've already stated that Ms. Willie was going to be the last one, and then I'm going to make my comments, and we're going to finish this. So I'm going to close up this session with my comments. First of all, there's a whole bunch of subjects I'm going to discuss, and I'm sure I'll go over 5 minutes, but you've all had multiple chances to talk. So let me give you some basic merchandising information, because I come from the commercial sector. Most merchants, not all, most merchants give substantial discounts the more you buy. If I buy one t-shirt, I pay X, but if I go to the manufacturer, the vendor, or whoever, and I buy 10, 20, 100, 1,000, 10,000, I'm going to get substantial discounts for that. That's the way most merchandising works. So what we're doing is saying, if you come in with your money, you don't need a new card, a $500 or $600 or $700 card. We can use exactly the same cards as Margaret has talked about, the monthly cards that are color-coded for the month, but they're buying them at one time and they're putting their money time value of money, for those of us who have taken accounting. Money today that we receive, that we invest, is worth more than money we receive tomorrow that's not been invested. So everybody's worried about how much money we're going to lose. Well, if we get all this money, this fabulous amount of money that everybody's so worried about, if we got that money today, it's in our bank account collecting interest. Whatever that interest is makes no difference, but it's in our bank account for us to get interest on. That is worth more than money that I'm going to get 11 and a half months from now when I buy my next monthly card. So we need to think about that when we're looking at this, quote, budget. Now, go back to the budget cycle. Think back to the budget cycle. This discussion came up during the budget cycle. And you remember Ms. Kai came in front of the council and said, you know, I don't think anybody's going to buy this because it's just too expensive to buy an annual card. Nobody's going to buy it. Absolutely nobody's going to buy it. Maybe one, but nobody else is going to buy it. Too expensive. Now this same group is coming in front of us and saying, oh my God, somebody might buy this expensive card and get this discount, and we're going to lose all this money, and we're going to go broke, and we can't. Then threatening the public by saying we might have to shut down some of the routes. We might not be able to buy new buses. Remember, the time value of money. Money today is worth more than money tomorrow. So, this is much to do about nothing. We have an organization that's telling us nobody's going to be able to afford this card, and now they're saying, oh my God, don't do this because somebody might actually buy the card. It isn't a card. It's a group of 12 cards or 6 or 8 or whatever it's going to be. But if they buy it 12 at a time, then they're going to get a discount. Nothing wrong with that. All merchants do that. The regular cards we issue on a monthly basis, if they're not replaceable, they're out, what, $30, $40, $50, $60? Okay. It's a loss. I understand that. But if I lose my purse or my purse gets stolen, I lose everything in there. Nobody runs up and says, oh, Brenda, you've lost your purse and we're going to somehow repay you for what you've lost. Nobody does that. It's a cost of living on this planet. There are bad people on this planet, and it's just a cost of living. Secondly, since they're buying the individual cards, we could prorate this. They could put that in their administrative rules. They don't, we could do it on a quarterly basis or a semi-annual basis. They could do anything. However they want to adjust their administrative rules, they do it. We'll get to that later. The loss of revenue will be dependent on the number of these annual purchases that occurs. This department had the opportunity to go to Honolulu and ask all the questions we ask. How many of these do you sell? What percentage is that? How much are you, quote, losing because of this? They've had all the time in the world. Ms. Willie has delayed this to give mass transit the time to do the research. And did they do the research? No. But they're in here today obstructing this bill. They didn't do the research, and they're giving you a lot of unfortunate hooey, as far as I'm concerned, about how much they're going to lose when they've been the future routes being lost. I think is really an unfortunate thing to do to the public. That there's a panic on the part of the public. So for all these reasons, I support this bill. I support passing this bill. I do think it should be changed to January 1st. However, we can do that at the council meeting. I don't think there's anything wrong with this. I think we are not getting the kind of information from this department that was requested. I think Mrs. Willie has worked on this extensively, and I think it's really unfair to cause this kind of stress to the public or to a council member because you didn't do your homework. That's what's going on here. The homework wasn't done. Thank you very much, and we are now taking a vote. Would you take a roll call vote, please? Thank you, Madam Clerk.
Ms. Ford, would I be able to respond to those statements? This is way important.
No, thank you. No, thank you. We're going to take the vote now. Regarding my suggestion, and I think the other suggestion from Mr. Onishi about January 1st, You can change that at the council meeting, because it's going up to council with a negative or a positive, whatever's going to happen. Madam Clerk, please take a roll call vote.
Ms. Diaz? Aye. Mr. Ilaga?
No.
Mr. Canova?
Kanalua.
Mr. Kern?
Kanalua.
Mr. Onishi? Ms. Willie? Mr. Ishimoto?
No.
Mr. Canova?
Aye.
Mr. Kern?
Aye.
Chair Ford?
Hey, let me get that on mic. Aye.
Chair Ford, you have 6 ayes and 2 noes.
Thank you. And one,
And 1 excuse.
yeah, one excuse. Bill 108 moves forward to council with a positive recommendation, and we can make changes at that time as necessary. May I have a motion to adjourn, please?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion from Mr. Onishi and a second, I believe, from Mr. Kern. Thank you. All in favor of adjournment, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Thank you. We are adjourned.
Can't wait to see how they're gonna find money for the police and fire. It took so long there and, you're becoming her favorite.
If Ms. Ford is going to be allowed to make unfactual representations, we should at least be allowed to comment.
It's gonna
That's
be
what
grueling
Bill
when they start to
Wilhonter
tackle where they're
just
gonna get
said.
the money for police and
This
fire.
is ridiculous.
Yeah. I haven't heard anyone say anything yet, not even a peep. Not
Sadly,
any council member.
I missed the little tiff between Zendo and Miss B there for a second in between batteries.
I mean, I
There you
think
go.
someone should be
See
talking
you at
about
full
it, about
council.
where they're thinking they might be able to cut some money.